What's going on, everybody? It's another DNH episode. Diamonds and hash marks back on the airwaves. Our official tagline is your favorite set of brothers on your favorite sports talk show. And I need to start saying that more because I wrote that in and haven't said it since. But without further ado, I am Alex Pichardo, the host and producer of this show.
And I'm the co-host, Peyton Machado. You dig?
If you can't tell, we're brothers. That's kind of our thing. Diamonds and hash marks, the podcast name. Diamond referring to baseball, hash mark referring to football. We cover both diamonds and hash marks. We don't do basketball. If you want more of that, you can go check out What's Up Doc or even
Yeah.
Nest Pod. You can go check those shows out. Hit them up with a 5-star review. Hit them up with a like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. Helps the algorithm figure out who to recommend us to next. And if you don't mind, hit us up with a sub. Ring the bell, like, 5-star review, again, whatever you need to do. We would really appreciate it. We're loving the engagement. We love talking with you, the fans, love liking your comments on some of our more ridiculous takes. I love it. It's awesome. I had Georgia and Alabama fans fighting in the comments not too long ago. It was good. I enjoyed
Nice.
it.
Yeah, I didn't see
that. Well, you may need to go check that out. You can find that on Instagram at Diamonds and Hashmarks, on YouTube as well, Diamonds and Hashmarks, on Twitter, Diamond Hashmark, there is no S. Haven't posted on Twitter in a while, and I think part of that is because I don't have any opportunities to live tweet anything as of right now, because the
Mhm.
World Series ended, and the Jags haven't played, I don't think, since that. So I haven't really had the opportunity to do that, but I'm going to get back into it. Diamond Hashmark on Twitter. There is no S. Diamonds and hashmarks at gmail.com. And that is the space you go to if you have a bone to pick. If you want to let us know what you think about what we think, and you put it in that email inbox, get everything out of your system there, all the toxicity, let it rip. I will probably read it. I will likely not respond. Just going to keep it plain and simple. But if you think that I have the greatest takes ever and Peyton sucks, by all means, diamonds and hashmarks at gmail.com. Available, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those things. Hey, that's fair game. I have great takes sometimes. I thought Florida had a shot and I blew that one. But aside from that, my takes have been pretty good. I'm not hearing any rebuttal right now. Is your mic on?
I'm looking for who asked.
Okay, all right. Golly, I hate it here. I hate it here.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, you're having a blast. All right. Hey, lots to get to today. Lots of baseball, lots of football to talk about. You may be thinking, what do you mean there's a ton of baseball to talk about? The season just ended. Nothing exciting happens during the offseason. Well, if that's what you think, give us a shot to change your mind because we're going through all the transactions, all the storylines from the winter meetings, stuff like that. And if you still think it's boring after that, then by all means, go find another podcast, I guess. But lots to get to. I'm excited. You excited?
Let's get it.
All right, let's do this. So we're going to start by covering all of the most recent transactions and rumors. I will let you know all of my sourcing on this comes from MLBTradeRumors.com, which sounds unprofessional. But MLB Trade Rumors does a lot of professional work. It just sounds like an unprofessional name, but I love their stuff. The general fan probably doesn't read articles about baseball, but I do, and it's interesting. I like looking at the behind the scenes stuff, but it's from them. It's from my pure speculation. It's from randos on Twitter. But we're going to talk about it because there's a ton to talk about here. And we're going to start with the Boston Red Sox. Peyton, you're wearing the hat today. I'm wearing the Jaguars hat. That's kind of where our allegiances lie in those two respective sports. We love the Red Sox. We love the Jags. So we're going to start with the Red Sox when we're talking about baseball. In case you haven't heard, Craig Breslow is the new general manager for the Boston Red Sox. And he recently did a big presser, end of the year presser. I think there was a GM meeting in Scottsdale, Arizona. And during his interview, he did mention that the team was receiving a bunch of inquiry regarding Alex Verdugo, which is a name that we heard pop up during the trade deadline. over the course of the season. Like there was a good 2 or 3 day stretch where it kind of sounded like Verdugo may get moved. I mean, I have mixed feelings about the guy. Peyton, how do you feel about the possibility of the Red Sox moving on from Verdugo?
I think now is the right time. I think we had him for a couple of seasons, and we had him for enough seasons to where he had good production. Sometimes he didn't have good production the other times. So I think it's ready for him to move on for his career. I mean, he's been in LA with the Dodgers and then with the Boston. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that there are people, because he's good. He's a good talent. It's just I think his time probably in a Boston Red Sox uniform is over. So,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by it at all. I think it's right for him to move him now.
Yeah. Hey, tough spot for him to come into though too, right? Because he
Mm-hmm.
was received in exchange for Mookie Betts along with Jeter Downs and
Yeah,
Connor Wong. Now, Connor Wong, for what it's worth, I think is kind of proving that he was semi worth it. But that entire trade package in exchange for Mookie Betts hadn't really lived up to the hype. And so high,
yeah,
lofty expectations. For what it's worth, a good left-handed bat in your lineup probably deserves to hit either first or ninth just because of his hitting style.
yeah,
I don't know. I feel weird about this because, like, when he first showed up, I was hyped. Then he embraced the city, and he was Red
yeah,
Sox through and through. Like, obviously, we all bleed red, but that guy bled like Red Sox red. Like
yeah.
he loves the city. Verdugo Red Sox is the thing,
Mm.
and I don't know. I'm kind of at the point where, like, let's move on. Like, we have so many left-handed bats in the outfield. That's all we have. Like,
Mm.
Duvall is a right-handed outfield bat, but he's not currently on the roster. He's a free agent. Yoshida, Duran, and Verdugo, all left-handed, all in the outfield. It's pretty crowded out there.
Yeah,
Obviously you have to evaluate each trade offer as it comes across the table, figure out if you're getting fair value or not. So obviously I don't want to part with him for anything less than fair value because I'm not that desperate to get rid of him, you know. But
right.
I
Yeah,
think it is time to move on if you can. If the deal presents itself, I think you pull the trigger.
for sure.
Now they are out there and active. The Red Sox are. They're not passive. It looks like Craig Breslow is engaging with multiple free agents representing starting pitchers. Scott Boras being the guy that's
Oh yeah,
essentially the agent for everybody right now.
right.
Early speculation has the Red Sox linked to Jordan Montgomery, who is an unrestricted free agent. What is your initial take on that?
Add some firepower, I think, to our rotation. We got Sale, Bello. Um, who else do we have? Hawk, Pavetta, Whitlock. Solid
Yeah,
guys, but like the two that stuck out to me, especially last year with Brian Bello. Um, making a name for himself last year. But adding Jordan Montgomery, I think that's credible and
that's a
will help
huge
us
get,
immensely.
honestly.
It's a huge get.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's huge. Obviously, they're going to take their time with it, negotiate at a reasonable pace. Like they're not throwing an absurd amount of money on the table initially, because that's how you lose
yeah,
negotiations. Honestly, at this point, but I thought through like last episode we went through the wish list, and I said, "Get me Blake Snell." Like Blake Snell, if you go get Blake Snell, you've essentially you've done your job.
yeah,
But I think with the possibility Blake Snell wins a Cy Young, there are added dollars tied on to whatever contract he eventually gets. And I think you're getting the exact same pitcher, if not better, in Jordan Montgomery for less.
yeah.
So
Even just being a Cy Young finalist too, I think that adds a couple of dollars as well. Like having a monster season last year with like the lowest
absolutely.
ERA in the NL. So like, um, obviously year in and year out, it's probably not going to be the same kind of case in regards to ERA kind of thing. But I mean, definitely add some money to it for sure.
Yeah, I think that would be huge. I would love to see Jordan Montgomery dressing up in a Red Sox uniform every fifth day. I think that would be awesome. But
Yeah,
right now, every fifth day, you kind of already went over it, but the guys we have now that are all candidates for the starting rotation are Chris Sale, last year the contract, Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, Tanner Houck, Nick Pavetta, Garrett Whitlock. All these guys, I think, with the exception of Sale, um, yeah, have spent time in the bullpen. at
Yeah.
some point in this year. They're all starters. They're all bullpen guys, with the exception of Sale and Bayo, really. But man, I have emotional ties to some of these guys because you watch them come up, like Tanner Houck. I've been high on Tanner Houck since day one. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
Nick Pivetta, I love just because of the 2021 wild card and postseason run that the Red Sox made and the dude he turned into. Garrett Whitlock was a
Yeah.
Yankee killer. I loved it. So emotional ties aside, I'm having a hard time figuring out, who do we keep? You
Mm.
know, who gets moved to the bullpen permanently? Who stays there? Because Whitlock, I think, is a
Mm.
bullpen guy. Don't make him a starter. But like, of that list of guys, who are you comfortable moving on from? Like, who gets traded? Who gets released? Who do we move on from, if any?
Yeah, I think the same thing that applies to Whitlock and what you're saying and moving him to the bullpen. I think the same either applies to Nick Pivetta. Either we put him in the pen or he gets moved. I feel like we could get some good pieces from that. Other than that, I think having like allegedly, if we're speaking theoretically, so let's say you got Sale, Montgomery, Bayo, Crawford, and Hawk. I'm satisfied with that five.
Yeah,
That starting five, that starting rotation, and then you got either Pivetta or no, you got Pivetta and Whitlock, either in the pen or you move Pivetta, um, get something out of it, and then have Whitlock kind of just lead the charge in the bullpen.
yeah, and I would be totally okay with it. I mean, I look at this list
Yeah,
and man, as much as I love Tanner Houck, if it's in exchange for like the guy, like Juan
yeah,
Soto, I think you have to part ways with him. I saw some. I don't know how credible it was. Like, I'm
sure.
not saying this is an actual rumor, but I saw some guy who does throw out like all these mock trades recently
Mm-hmm.
post a mock trade of Juan Soto to the Red Sox, and it involved Juan Soto, Cronenworth, and I think like a bullpen arm in exchange
Yeah.
for Tanner Houck, and like two, I think Sadane Rafaela, who
Mm-hmm.
again crowded outfield, like
Yeah.
a couple of those names, and I looked at that and I said, if that's what we're getting in exchange, like I hate it, but buy,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're automatically solidifying one of your outfield spots with a lefty bat, and it's not a question
Right.
every day now about who you're penciling it. So, like Sale, Bayo, Whitlock, I think those are the only untouchables.
Yeah.
You know, Whitlock, if he's a bullpen piece, untouchable. Bayo, young starter, you can't let him go, untouchable. Sale, shoot, maybe you do move on from Chris Sale. A lot of
Oof.
money
Wow.
tied on to that last year of the contract, but I guess maybe I don't think if you're Craig Breslow, here, I'll say this. If you're Craig Breslow, I don't think you can commit to not trading Chris Sale. You know, I
Yeah.
think you can commit to, we're going to make the team better. And if that means moving on from Chris Sale, then I guess that's what we have to do. I don't know what that trade looks like, but
Mm.
I would be very tough to do. But I think that's something worth considering. Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani, as far as transactions recently go, those teams that they played for last season, the Angels and the Padres, extended qualifying offers to them. And
Yeah.
this is another thing that I thought of, like Jordan Montgomery over Blake Snell. That's where I'm at right now. Go get me Monty. I want Monty now. I don't even
Mm.
want them to touch Blake Snell, because what extending a qualifying offer to a specific player means at this point is the team that ultimately signs them has to forfeit their second highest draft pick and $500,000 in international sinus bonus money, or
Oof.
signing bonus money.
Yeah.
I don't think that's worth it. Like, the extra dollars that
I
you
don't think it's worth it.
forfeit
Yeah.
because you signed Blake Snell and added on to the back end of the contract, I don't think it's worth it anymore if you're already millions of dollars in the hole with Trevor Story and Matsutaka Yoshida. I don't think you can reasonably sign Blake Snell, but
Mm.
those are two guys that have received qualifying offers. I don't think either one of them accepts it. Do you
Yeah.
think
I
Blake
don't think so
Snell
either.
accepts a qualifying? Yeah, I don't think so. Do you think Shohei Ohtani accepts a qualifying offer? I know. Hey, I had to ask. So, if we're being serious, it was more of a formality than it was a legitimate. Please accept. Like, we have a
Right.
decent shot at him accept. It was more of like, this is what we're supposed to do. Otherwise, we get flamed by our fan base, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so Blake Snell, Shohei, they have qualifying offers. Whit Merrifield has moved on from the Toronto Blue Jays. It's speculated that he could ultimately go back to them. I don't know if he's the answer there. Now, the Red Sox,
Right.
we've already talked about this. Who's the second baseman moving into this next season? Is it
Christian
Christian
Arroyo.
Arroyo again?
Yeah, like
He
no.
spent the last
I
half
don't
of the
want it
year
to
in
be. Yeah.
AAA.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but a right-handed power bat, not necessarily like absolute power. Like I think if you're looking for a right-handed power bat, you need to resurrect Brandon Phillips from 2012. But Whit Merrifield, could
Yeah.
he be the sneaky answer over at second base for the Boston Red Sox? Like, do you love the
Could
move? Do
be.
you hate the move? Do you think it could be spicy? Like, how do you feel about the possibility of Whit Merrifield playing second base opening day?
The only thing I'd be worried about is like how much he's valued
Yeah.
coming into this offseason. And well, we're already in the offseason, but like coming into this free agency. Because the last thing I want to do is, because it's happened before, last thing I want to do is lock somebody up for a certain amount of years with a lot of money that we've put into this guy, and it just produces nothing. So,
Are you talking about Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford?
we could go down the list. We could go down
Pablo Sandoval.
Pablo Sandoval.
My goodness.
Gosh, who else? Who's that other guy?
Ultimately, we could keep going if we
Ultimately,
wanted
yeah,
to,
we
but
could
I
keep going.
haven't dedicated the brain power to figuring that out as of right
Yeah,
now.
because
But
that's actually healthy. You've moved on from it.
moved on.
It's gone. Yeah,
We've won
but
since then.
we've won since then. Yeah, 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't mind it. It's just we have to either meet it right at what his contract is going to be valued, maybe a little bit more, but like not an overabundance.
Yeah.
Because that's something that was like speculation that we were running into. I think at the beginning of last season, we paid Yoshida all that money, and executives were like, "What are they doing?"
Yeah. But hey, that worked out. So I guess like I have to trust the Red Sox valuing contracts and guys' talent. But
sure,
yeah. I think it would be a great move. I think if you go get Montgomery and Merrifield, I think you've already won, because by doing that, you've essentially said Rafaela is available for trade.
Mm-hmm.
Pablo Reyes, Christian Arroyo. Suddenly, all these guys are available. If you go get those two, now you move all of them in exchange for a piece like Juan Soto. And I know this is possibly unrealistic. Like I know I'm tossing these names around like it's absolutely doable, but suddenly it turns into, yeah, sure, you parted with some of your top prospects, but you didn't lose Cassis, you didn't lose Devers, you held on to your starters for what it's worth. You added on to it as well. Like suddenly it turns into a very productive offseason. But
every time I
load
load into a Red Sox franchise and MLB The Show, they always, because I sim it. I'm one of those guys that sim seasons sometimes, and like most of the time, every time I go in there, they trade Tristan Casas every single time, and then he goes and he performs for another team, and he just phenomenal, wins MVPs, is like first seed in the home run derby. I'm just like, bro, like why?
Yeah. If you saw my screen shake a bunch right there, if you're watching, I'm sorry. My knee bumped into the table and I feel like crying right now, but I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna live, gonna survive. Bryce Harper, according to the Phillies general manager, they are permanently transitioning Bryce Harper, to first base because it makes the team better. That's what they're going with moving forward. So Bryce Harper is no longer an outfielder. According to the Philadelphia Phillies, I mean, he could eventually go back there. Not entirely mad, but what it does mean is Rhys Hoskins is available. And we're not going to speculate quite yet about where Rhys Hoskins goes, but I just want your initial reaction to Rhys Hoskins isn't a Philadelphia Philly anymore. So what do you think of that? Like, sad? You think it's better for both of them?
So, first initial reaction is sad for Rhys Hoskins, because I remember when he first came up on the scene, I remember how excited we were for this guy and how well he was producing, and like him going to an All-Star game and everything. I was like, okay, they might have a first baseman here. And just these past couple of years, it's kind of been so-so, just kind of here. And obviously with the torn. What did he tear? He tore his MCL, ACL.
Something. Yeah,
He
one of the
tore something in
CLs.
his knee. One of the CLs. Right.
One of the ligaments that means nothing.
Right. It literally means nothing to anybody who is athletic and playing a professional sport. Yeah, so sad because I just wanted to see him flourish and in Philadelphia. But like another reaction I think I had was just like um in the long run I think this helps out the Phillies because if you have Harper over there at first, he's not throwing the ball a whole ton. And he's coming off of his whole elbow thing. It was Tommy John?
Yeah, it was an accelerated Tommy John. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm not worried about like having to go through that again, and just kind of being a help both defensively at first and in the lineup. So I think this helps him out in the long run in that, just being able to save that arm, and yeah, just have him be a presence, be in the lineup,
Yeah.
keep breaking like you have.
I think ultimately Philly misses him at some point next year where they're like, dang, I wish we had another extra bat. But they're so well put together and built that maybe they don't. I think this is actually good for Reese, and because now he gets to move on and he's not going to be playing with the expectation of championship or bust next year. You know, like he gets to ease back into the flow of the pace of a major league season, and he's not rushed and he's not playing with the automatic expectation that they have to win a World Series. So, I mean, we watched his entire career up to this point in a Phillies uniform, and it feels a little weird now that he could be moving on from that. But I think ultimately it's for his betterment. Now, yesterday I think we were playing with each other on what game?
Video games,
Fortnite. That's the name of it.
Video games. Please finish that sentence.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. I
gosh.
blanked. I was like, what's the name of that game? But we were playing Fortnite the other day, but we both saw the news, I think, at the same time. And both of us, like, neither of us said words. We were just like, ooh, my goodness. Like, something just happened. Yeah, you were like, oh, you just saw that news too? And I was like, you're talking about Washington managing the Angels from here on out? Yeah, absolutely. So he's finally back at the helm of an organization. He's not with the Atlanta Braves anymore. He's going to be managing. I think, again, it's another case of too little too late from the Los Angeles Angels and hopes to reunite with Shohei Ohtani. But hey, I'm excited for him. I think this is maybe the first time the Angels have done something good since they drafted Mike Trout and signed Ohtani. Like, I think this is the first positive step they've taken since signing Ohtani.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Washington's a winner, man. I mean, we saw him in Texas. We saw him with the Braves when he was the infield coach, also third base coach as well. When they won it in 2021, I think is the year for that one. So I'm excited for him to get back in a managerial role again. Let's see how he can salvage the Angels when they'll just have Mike Trout and nobody else again. So yeah.
Man, that poor guy. Free Mike Trout. Which is another rumor for this upcoming offseason, I guess, that he might be available, but I don't know if he wants to be. But hey, Joey Votto out in Cincy. They're not holding on to him. They declined the option. So it is entirely possible the last time we saw Joey Votto on a baseball field was him getting ejected. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what team out there needs a first baseman / DH so badly that they're going to take a risk with Joey Votto coming off an injury-laden couple seasons. So, I mean, I hope we do see him on the field again. I don't know if we do, though. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this move in Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati could have definitely done this better, but a tough thing to do, though. You get a great veteran towards the back end of his career, and obviously you want him to be able to retire in the uniform he's played in his entire career. But if you have that club option at the back end of it, then it gets a little difficult making that decision. But the Blue Jays are expecting Matt Chapman, their third baseman, to leave. I think up to this point in the offseason, only a couple days in, but I think they're already kind of making plans to try to find another third baseman to fill that gap that he's going to leave. I guess we'll see where he winds up. We're going to speculate about that a little recklessly, I think, on Monday. But for right now, I have a list of, I think, the top 8, some of the top pitchers that are free agents and available. And what we're going to do is we're going to go name by name and kind of speculate recklessly, if you will, about where we think this guy ends up, what the best fit is. Now, those two could be two different things. Like, what's the best fit / where do we think he ends up could be two different things. We're just trying to get a little interesting here. Like, you throw out the name Shohei Ohtani, it's possible the best fit is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Where do you think he actually winds up? Could be different, but Peyton, what I want to hear is, like, what's the most interesting place they could wind up? You know?
Yeah,
what's something you're not totally expecting, but is definitely reasonable. So that is that first name, Shohei Ohtani. Where do you think he ultimately winds up? Like, what's an interesting possibility?
The Boston Red Sox.
Oh man,
please,
you poor soul.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to counsel you later.
Oh wow, well you're the one that started this counseling.
Yeah, okay, definitely did, but he's not going to Boston. I don't think so. Not at this point.
So, no, I think odds have him going to the Dodgers, and I think the second team was either like the Mets or somebody. So like,
yeah,
basically teams that have high payroll as well, and like what's going to be desirable. Yeah, I think Ohtani will stay in LA, but not with the Angels, obviously, and be going to the Dodgers.
Yeah. I have the Seattle Mariners as my pick. I think that's the most interesting place he could wind up.
Seattle was the second.
Yeah, I'm going with Seattle. Shohei in Seattle, I think, automatically brings a championship to Seattle. Like
Suzuki Part 2,
we
but
could
Suzuki didn't win a championship.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go to, I'm gonna butcher this name, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I got it right.
Yeah.
Actually, I got it right. Okay. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Where does he ultimately wind up?
Why'd you have to say it again? You were fine.
My bad. Okay, what's where do we think he goes?
So rumors have been saying that he might be getting picked up by the Yankees. That's what
I've heard that they're kind of getting involved in the bidding war.
So I've heard Yankees. I can't think of any of the other teams, but I know that he is high market value.
Yeah.
For a pitcher that he's very talented too. I don't know if you've seen any.
Very talented, very young. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just because I know that the Yankees are in it, and the last time that they, I think, had a bidding war with this, it ended up being Masahiro Tanaka. Put him down for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Which would be tough with the AL East
ultimately,
and us being in there. But
yeah, I think ultimately he does wind up in New York. But if I wanted to get zesty with it, I would say that he winds up in Boston because he played for the Oryx Buffaloes, and Masataka Yoshida also played for the Oryx Buffaloes, and there's already a connection between those two. I mean, Yamamoto was the best pitcher on that team. Yoshida was the best hitter on that team. I think getting both of those teamed up in Boston, it would fix. I mean, obviously, that's a lot of money that Boston would have to be comfortable shelling out. I don't think they ultimately do, but I mean, my hope is that we do make a splash at some point. All right, Blake Snell. I'll actually go first on this one. I think he winds up in St. Louis.
Why St. Louis?
Because they are in a pitching deficit right now. They still have a team that they think is capable of winning, but I think they've finally moved on from the nostalgia of Wainwright and Molina. And now that we're walking into, I think, the first time that Pujols, Wainwright, and Molina haven't been on a St. Louis Cardinals team since the early 2000s, like the freedom to move on and start to be reckless with your roster is there. And I think Blake Snell, if you're willing to shell out the money, would be more than happy to go pitch in St. Louis.
Yeah. So a couple teams come to mind for me when I think of Blake Snell. So the first one, obviously, wouldn't be bad to see him in a Red Sox uniform. Probably not going to happen, though.
No, definitely not gonna happen. I don't want him.
You don't want him. Yeah.
No.
The other team that comes to mind, San Diego. So he'll probably wind up staying. Because I think they do need the help as well. There's not really a lot of help to be given there in San Diego, I think, just in regards to their pitching. I could be wrong. I haven't checked up on their pitching in a while. So he could stay there. I don't know how marketable it is now, just because San Diego did terrible last year, and they had so many star-studded guys that just did not perform the way that they thought they were going to that season.
Yeah.
So that could also kind of factor into it, and you might just want to try out somewhere else. Now that you say St. Louis is not like a bad idea either. And hey, you know what? He may end up in the Rays or on the Rays. So who knows? Goes back to the Rays.
Okay, so Blake Snell, you're undecided. You have no clue. Eduardo Rodriguez is next, and with Erod, man, they tried to trade him to the West Coast, and he said no. But then his agent came out and said he has no geographical restrictions, and he's willing to go sign anywhere. I don't think he does. Eduardo Rodriguez, I think he ends up in Baltimore. It's where he started his Major League Baseball career. Baltimore's going to be willing to spend some money and go for it. He had the best year of his career up to this point, this past season in Detroit, and he opted out. He's clearly willing to go somewhere. I think he winds up back in Baltimore.
Back in Baltimore? He was in Baltimore?
Yeah. He was a part of the original Andrew Miller trade. When Andrew Miller was with Boston. Yeah.
Boston, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I'm down with that too. I think that he'll end up back in Baltimore, just especially with how young the core is. You even got Gunnar Henderson, who is AL Rookie of the Year candidate. We'll get into that later, but I totally see that.
Yeah, Erod back in Baltimore. Sounds like both of us are in for it. Aaron Nola, if I had to pick a guy on this list that I said they definitely wind up back where they previously played this season, I would almost say Aaron Nola. But for the sake of this segment and the fact that I think it is remotely possible this actually happens, I'm going to say Aaron Nola winds up in Atlanta pitching for the Braves. As much as Philly fans are going to hate that, I think Aaron Nola to the Braves, suddenly you're talking about the juggernaut of all juggernauts, and beating Atlanta in a 5-game series would be not doable.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I like that. But I'll go with different. While I do think that the Braves would be like the best team for him to go to, I think another one that isn't out of the question, funny enough, Baltimore. I think that he would do well in Baltimore. So if theoretically you're getting both Erod and Aaron Nola, you're in for a treat, man. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Hey now. The only reliever we have on this list, Josh Hader, and I'm going Texas Rangers. That back end of the bullpen, Spores, Aroldis Chapman, Leclerc, struggled mightily. They were closer by committee over there. Every 3 batters were making another switch. Josh Hader, suddenly you don't have to worry about the 9th.
Yeah. Let me look at these stats, because I didn't think Josh Hader was that guy anymore.
But I think he struggled after he got traded from Milwaukee over to San Diego, but he figured it out this season, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Oh yeah, he figured it out.
Yeah.
1.28
He's still
ERA.
that guy.
Okay, he is still that guy. Gosh, so having a bullpen piece like that, who's going to give you 1.28 ERA in a span of 61 games.
Yeah. An inning at a time.
Rangers is not a bad option. I like that.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know who else would need it other than the Rangers. So yeah, I'll say the Rangers as well.
That's hilarious. All right.
Yeah.
If I had to think of second place for they ultimately wind up back where they started this season, this next name, I'm actually comfortable saying it. Sonny Gray does wind up back with the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I wouldn't mind him going back to Cincinnati as well.
He did have an okay year there. I don't know how ready Cincinnati is to shell out money. I've heard Jonathan
To show
India's
money.
name tossed around a bunch. We're not going to get
Oh
into
wow.
that though right now, but yeah, Sonny Gray
Yeah.
back to Cincinnati could be real. But I'm going
Okay.
with the Twins. Last
Twins.
guy on this list, Jordan Montgomery. I've already said where I think he winds up and where I hope he winds up. Beantown. He's got to wind up in Boston if Craig Breslow is
Yeah.
doing his job right.
Yeah.
Jordan
Yeah.
Montgomery to
Boston,
the
or
Red
if
Sox.
not,
Need it.
he'll just yeah. I want it to happen too, but if not there, he'll just go back to Texas. I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally viable to do that as well. Although that starting rotation is a little bit more crowded next year because DeGrom
Yeah.
will come back at some point. Scherzer's starting the year healthy unless he retires. But it is award season. This is our final baseball talking point. Executive of the Year was the first award that I saw recently handed out, and that went to Mike Elias out of the Baltimore Orioles front office. And I mean, duh. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's going to go to Mike
Right.
Elias. He did the job that they asked him to do. Now all he's got to do this offseason is add the veteran pieces, spend some money, and go win a World Series. And I
First one
think
for
if he
them,
does that,
or
yeah,
not
he
first one.
wins Executive of the Year again if he does that. But
Yeah.
um, I didn't
I
really
actually
think
don't
a
know if
whole lot of
that's right.
people were going to be eligible for this. Not
Mm.
because of like time spent in the front office or whatever, but it seems like the choice was so clear for it to be Mike Elias that I couldn't think of it being anybody else.
The Orioles have won the
um
World Series title in 1966, 1970, 1983. So first one in a while is what I meant to say. Then I don't know why I thought that
yeah
they had not won a World Series before. My bad.
yeah the players also voted on a player choice award for player of the year. The results came back. It is indeed Ronald Acuna Jr. Will we see him win the MVP award as well? Because if it was up to the players, clearly they chose Acuna. They didn't choose Betts and they didn't choose Freeman. Will we see him win the MVP? I'm seeing a lot of people saying that Freeman deserves the award, and I think they're insane. But if you're watching, you know why Peyton's not saying anything. If you're listening, only Peyton's giving me that look. So clearly he thinks Acuna wins.
There's no way
On
he
November.
doesn't.
Okay. Yeah,
No way he
I
doesn't.
think they
And if
they
he
have to
and
redo.
if he doesn't, goodness gravy.
Yeah.
Can't wait to
You
have
might
that
blow a
episode come on.
gasket on that episode if he doesn't win, because I think if that does happen and he does not win, we have to have a serious conversation about why we allow all these older guys with no playing experience voting on an award that seemingly means so much. Um,
Mm.
the NL
Mm.
Rookie of the Year and AL Rookie of the Year candidates, finalists have been announced. That award will be handed out on Monday after we are done recording the show. So we're going to go ahead and get our prediction out of the way here. Over in the National League, Corbin Carroll, James Outman, and Kodai Senga are the three finalists for this award. Who do you think takes it home?
Sega, not Sega, but I thought of the Sega thing.
Yeah.
Gosh, I think it's got to be Carroll, just for the
Yeah.
season
I
that he
think Corbin
had.
Carroll. And the votes are cast before the postseason. So, excluding the postseason, I think this award still very clearly goes to Carroll. And I think that this award was kind of wrapped up by June. Like it was always going to be Carroll. Over in the
Yep.
American League, it is Tanner Bibby from the Guardians, Tristan Cassis from Boston, and Gunnar Henderson from Baltimore. Who do you think wins this award?
I think Gunnar. Gunnar
As
from the
much as I want
Orioles.
Tristan Cassis to win, I think it does go to Gunnar.
Yeah.
I think Gunnar he had the better year, as much as I
He
hate
had the
it. He
better
was more
year. Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we were around the All-Star break by the time Tristan Cassis batting average got out of the 100s. But
Yeah,
boy, did he turn it
then it
on,
shot up, and
and
then he got.
he looks legit. Let's play a little buy, sell, or hold, though. Why don't we? Right before we get started with our football conversation. Yeah, I know. I missed it Monday. Can't remember if we did it Thursday, but we're going to start here. Buy, sell, or hold. If Major League Baseball wanted more people to care about the end of season awards, they would host a big award ceremony like the NFL.
Oh, yeah. I mean, buy. But I don't think they care enough, which is kind of insane because everybody else does it. The NBA does it, NHL does it, and I just don't understand why they were just like, yeah, okay, big awards.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do these exclusive interviews and announcements on MLB Network, which I totally get. That's your network. You get to do what you want with it. But at the same time, why don't we host an award ceremony on the network? Why do we have to stagger this out? Let's bring up, make up an award for greatest defensive play of the season. And then segment, I don't know, a minute's worth compilation of some of the best defensive plays over the course of the year that you can come up with. I would be entertained. I would love for that to happen. I don't know who is in charge of marketing for Major League Baseball, but it would not surprise me if it's Rob Manfred or somebody like Rob Manfred. We need to get somebody else in there. Buy, sell, or hold. Craig Breslow makes a splash this offseason.
I think my instincts tell me to buy because I want it to happen. So I'll stick with my gut. I'm a buy.
Yeah, I'm buying, but for a different reason. I think that very clearly him being the new guy in Boston, wanting to not wind up like Chaim Bloom, will go out and make some sort of big move just for the sake of making some big move and breaking the stigma very early on that the Red Sox are not risk takers. So I think he does. Let's get into something that has caused some arguments, though. Buy, sell, or hold. The tush push should be banned. If you're unfamiliar with what the tush push is, go look up Eagles highlights. You'll see it all over the place. And nobody else does it as well as the Eagles. Lots of speculation. Lots of people calling for that formation, that play being banned. Peyton, what do you think? Buy, sell, or hold? It should be banned.
All right, listeners, we are now transitioning into our football segment. You forgot to say that. So the tush push.
Doing my job for me.
Right? I mean, come on. Yeah. I'm selling this. Let him play. This.
Yeah.
if you're good at something and it's succeeding and you're having a lot of success with it and you're getting yardage and you're getting those touchdowns, let him play. Enough. It's just don't get mad because you're not doing it as well as the Eagles are.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that some people want to ban it. If it's like getting mad that a guy hits a home run and celebrates, if you didn't want him to do that, why didn't you just make a better pitch? If you didn't want them to do the tush push, why don't you just play some better defense?
Or you're just a pitcher with a 22-inch of run sinker, and Ohtani turns on it, and just how did you hit that?
Yeah, and you're asking that question, but I guess as far as the tush push is concerned, just get better. Okay, this final one, we're gonna.
True.
I gotta screen share this real quick. Buy, sell, or hold. The Cardinals picture that they used on Instagram of Kyler Murray returning does not show a regulation size football. And I'm going to share the Instagram post with you all. This is what showed up on my phone earlier today. And if you're watching, you can see how large this football is in Kyler Murray's hands. There's no way that Kyler Murray is so small. The football takes up most of his torso. That is nipple to belly button size football. That's what we're talking about here if you're listening. That, Peyton, buy, sell, or hold, that's a regulation size football.
One of the comments, I miss Josh Dobbs.
I know, I saw that. I saw if 9 and 8 actually happens, I'm dying. 1 in 16, keep Kyler, draft Marvin Harrison Jr. But yeah, there's no way that's regulation size, right? Or is Kyler Murray actually that small?
He's that small, I think.
Do you think he is? Is Kyler Murray that small, or is that football exaggerated and blown up?
It could be exaggerated. I'm going to look at his height right now. Because I mean,
I don't
we're
think you're
cooking.
going to be impressed.
Kyler, we want you on the show, but
Yeah,
I just gotta look at
definitely.
you.
But
Okay, he's
Kyler,
5'10".
we need.
He's 5'10".
There's no. What's the end-to-end distance on an NFL regulation football? Like,
And
yeah, as soon as you figure that out, we can figure out whether or
okay.
not it's reasonable it takes up his entire torso. How long is a football?
Not football.
Because like the reason that I wanted to include this is because Big Cat over on Barstool, when he does his NFL quarterback rankings, Kyler Murray's picture is always downsized because he is a smaller guy. But there's no way he's that small. End to end, how big is a football, Peyton?
Still looking. It's telling me circumference. I'm not good at math.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. I think I do, but I've been so out of practice with school. So we'll look at it later.
Okay. Yeah, there is no easy answer to this question. I just Googled end-to-end football length, and it told me 120 yards. But that's a football field, not a regulation
but thank you.
size football. How big is a regulation-sized football? Approximately. Oh gosh, it's giving me all the different sizes. Do I want $10 off on my order? It looks like 10.5 to 11.5 inches. So it's close to a foot. Yeah.
Wait. Is that why?
Yeah, 11 to 11.25. It's close to a foot. It's not exactly 12 inches, but we're saying that no way that's regulation sized.
Yeah.
No way it is. I'm selling. Yeah.
I'm selling.
I'm doing whatever is necessary to say that they use an inflated football there at Tom Brady.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Start having some real conversations here about football, not just speculation about the size of Kyler Murray's torso. We're going to start with college football. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news recently, but Michigan is getting torched right now.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what to make of this just because of the Astros sign stealing scandal and baseball. Like it's all it's opening up a lot of still very fresh wounds, apparently. So let's just go over a couple of the basics as of recently. It's very clear that Michigan, at some point or another, cheated Connor Stallion's elaborate cheating scandal. Barstool is doing some great reporting on this.
They are.
So if you want great reporting, minute by minute, live updates, go check out Barstool. But it's kind of evident at this point that Michigan did cheat. What is not evident is how much John Harbaugh knew, or Jim Harbaugh. Which one is it? Is it Jim?
Jim.
It's Jim at Michigan. Okay. So Michigan, as of I think yesterday, 2 days ago, sent a letter to the Big Ten offices urging due process. And the reason that they did that is because the NCAA is doing their own investigation. And the Big Ten is not doing an investigation. The Big Ten is relying upon all the information the NCAA collects to be handed to the Big Ten so that the Big Ten can inflict punishment if punishment is warranted. And what Michigan did is they sent the letter to the Big Ten office and said, hey, you need to let due process run its course before you punish. And latest speculation said as early as today, we would see some form of punishment come down from the Big Ten. I haven't seen anything come across the waiver wire yet. Have you? So clearly that letter did something.
Twitter right now.
Yeah, clearly that letter did something. And yeah, they're not willing to go ahead and punish, I guess, yet, or maybe up until they do their own investigation. But there is a decision coming soon, apparently, according to the NCAA. There is still no evidence that Jim Harbaugh knew, though. It looks like he has complete immunity up to this point. Like there is no paper trail proving that Jim Harbaugh knew, but according to the Big Ten bylaws that they have written in, even if the head coach does not know, he could still be punished because he is responsible for all coaches on his staff. Now, Connor Stallions was technically a coach on staff at Michigan, and so we still could see Jim Harbaugh get punished. But Michigan's not going down alone. They're not letting whatever it was that started this investigation take them out, because they are also taking Purdue, Rutgers, Ohio State. I've even seen Michigan State thrown in there with them. Like, they are taking down everybody. In the midst of this sign stealing scandal, the University of Michigan has sent documentation to the Big Ten offices as well, in addition to the letter, proving that Purdue, Rutgers, and Ohio State all coordinated with each other regarding Michigan signs. So it looks like sign stealing is rampant in the Big Ten. Looks like everybody's doing it. It's possible Michigan went a little bit further. Ohio State may have possibly been the reason this investigation started in the first place, and Michigan's taken them down with them.
Yep.
Peyton, what do you make of all this? What's going on? Where did we wind up? How did we...
So the way I view this. Sorry.
No way. That's an insane sound.
The way that I view this is that do I think that sign stealing is wrong? No. In the sense of you're not recording it on a video.
Okay.
Which is what they did.
Hey, I can
right?
get with that.
Like,
I can get with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
keep technology out of it.
Keep technology out of it. And if they are stealing your signs and you know that they are, adapt. Find ways to
it's so easy, man.
Something different. It's so easy to do something different. But I think where Michigan went wrong, and this is where I will kind of pull the reins back in a little bit. Where Michigan went wrong is when they were recording the sign stealing. Obviously that is what raises the red flag in all of this. So sign stealing, I'm okay with. It's a part of the game. It's what's going to happen. Teams are going to try to go out there and win. You get to a point to where now you're recording them and you're on a phone and okay, they use these signs here in this game. This is what it means. They're going into cover 2, cover 3, or they're going on a play action, RPO, whatever it is. That's where they got into some trouble. I don't know, on the evidence side, if they saw that and they blatantly came out with we were doing that kind of thing, but adapt. It's so easy. So easy.
If you know that they're doing it, I think if you're an opposing team, you just change your signs week to week. Right. You find some easier way to do it. And hey, NCAA, if you want to avoid this in the future, adopt the headset way that the NFL went. Just implement that. Suddenly, sign stealing isn't as big of a thing. And the biggest thing guys could do is try to steal a quarterback's cadence or the code words that they use on the field. And how much does that ultimately do? Because Peyton Manning had a million of them.
So good at it. So good.
Yeah. How do we both go to Peyton Manning there? That's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah,
so Michigan,
we are so locked. Okay.
So Michigan going up against Penn State this upcoming weekend. Michigan obviously favored. Penn State hasn't beaten a top 15 team the entire time that Kenny Franklin's been there as the head coach. So I picked Michigan to win. Let's go ahead and get into specifics though. According to ESPN Bet, not Caesar Sportbooks, according to ESPN Bet, Michigan is favored by 4.5, over under at 44.5. I'm taking Michigan to cover, and I'm taking the over easily here. Yeah. So Michigan wins. That's what we're both saying. Michigan wins.
Sure.
If they win out, they're in. Because winning out means beating, I think, Maryland next week, and then beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten championship, and then they're into the college football playoff. I don't know what the Big Ten standing structure looks like right now, but if Michigan wins out, they're in. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. What is the likelihood we see Michigan get banned from the college football playoff this season?
This season? Yeah.
Give me a percentage. Give me a percent chance you think Michigan gets banned from the college football playoff this season.
46%.
Okay. I'm going 38.
Okay. So you
There's
wouldn't.
not a whole lot of math behind it. I just think it's less than 46. I don't know if the NCAA is willing to ban its most storied franchise
Sure.
from the college football playoff in a year
Yeah.
where it looks like they may actually have the talent to do it over something that it sounds like every team does. Maybe not to the same extent, but I don't know how ready they are to do that. Let's move on though. Past Michigan, Texas versus TCU. Quinn Ewers is back in action, coming back from a shoulder sprain. He's ready to go for the Longhorns. Now, Texas is number 7 overall, and as far as the college football playoff is concerned, it looks like they could possibly win out and still not get in. Depends on what the Big 12 looks like towards the end of the year.
What just happened?
But if Texas wins out, I have a hard time seeing them actually get in. It looks like they could play Oklahoma State towards the end of the year in that Big 12 championship. But I don't know how much beating Oklahoma State would actually help them. So, Peyton, my question for you is, even though Texas is ranked number 7, and it looks like they could play a ranked Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship, does winning out mean that Texas is in? Or as a one-loss team, are they still out?
I don't know. Also, did you realize that I left?
Yeah, I tried to carry on like a professional would.
I have no idea what happened, so I
Yeah, I don't know.
appreciate you being with
I
your
don't know why you did
professionalism.
that.
I don't know what happened. Okay. Yeah. So matchup with Oklahoma State.
Both of them don't play another
7.
ranked opponent the rest of the year. The next ranked
Yeah.
opponent they could see is
And if they
in
win out,
the Big 12 championship. Like,
they have
I
one loss?
have a hard time. Yeah, Texas does. Oklahoma State has 2. I have a hard time seeing Texas make it if they're a one-loss team.
Washington and Oregon.
I know, because Oregon
So.
is just going to shred USC this weekend. You know that's going to happen. It's going to get ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. The Pac-12 matchup. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. So if we were to go ahead and pick this game, TCU versus Texas, ESPN bet currently places this at Texas favored by 12. Over under at 54.5. I'm taking Texas to cover, but I am taking the under. I don't know how ready Quinn Ewers actually is.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tight game. So I think TCU covers this, and we're gonna go under too. I think.
Yeah. All right. Ole Miss versus Georgia, another game that catches my eye. Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Very simply, in order to get in, they're currently ranked number 10 or number 9. I think they are number 10. They need a miracle to get in. They need multiple people to lose, and they have to win out by deciding margins. And that miracle starts with beating Georgia. Do they have a chance?
Right.
I don't think they do either. Now, they are playing with house money. They got nothing to lose. They're going to walk out there and do everything they can to just wallop Georgia. But I learned my lesson picking against Georgia, and I'm not about to do it again.
Right.
Let's go ahead, though, and pick this game as well. Man, I looked at some of these games, and I was like, that looks like it could be intriguing, but I don't know how much time we're going to have to actually talk about that. So as of now, ESPN bet places the line at Georgia favored by 10.5. Over under at 58.5. I'm taking Georgia to cover, and I'm taking the over. I think this is an offensive explosion.
I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Same wavelength.
Okay. All right. Florida versus LSU. All I have to say about this is that Florida could get beat by 90. It's a giant L. LSU favored by 14.5, taking LSU to cover. Over under at 64.5, and I'm taking the over. I think LSU puts up in I don't know how comfortable I am giving LSU a 19 spot as a 3-loss team, but it's going to be a massive loss, and I'm not looking forward to these next 3 weeks as a Gator fan. Do you have anything else to add, or are you ready to move on to the NFL?
Yeah.
All right.
NFL. Let's go.
So real quick, a little bit of reckless speculation, if you will, because that's kind of what we're famous for here. We said last episode that Zach Wilson has this weird paradox in front of him where the better he plays, the better chance he has at getting benched at the end of the year. Pat McAfee had a great point that he brought up during his show that I hadn't considered yet, but I do want to bring up for us a little bit here just to talk about. I'm not stealing content. He just elaborated on something that I had previously said. Not that we're in direct connection with each other, but I just want us to speculate about it as well. Is it over in New York? Like, if Zach Wilson does ultimately get benched at the end of the year in favor of Aaron Rodgers as they walk into the playoffs, if that happens, does Zach Wilson play another snap in New York?
I don't think he does. Over? I mean, yeah, we can look back on this now and look at this as a bust. I think for Zach Wilson's career.
Yeah,
drafted,
which is crazy.
What, second
overall, like, 2 years ago.
Second overall from BYU.
Peyton Manning forgot he existed. You were watching that. Is that what happened? Did you? No, on the Manning cast during the torn Achilles moment, Peyton Manning, I think, said to the effect out loud, like, who even is their backup quarterback? Like, who's the guy that they have? And Eli's sitting over there like, last year's number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
like
Zach Wilson.
So, yeah, I see it being very difficult for him to come back and play quarterback for the Jets again if he does, in fact, get benched, which it's insane to me to think that, like, we're all kind of okay with the fact that he could play great the rest of the year. It does not matter how high that ceiling is, how great he does play. He's done. It's over. Yeah. Now, looking at matchups that intrigue me, obviously, the Jaguars. That game is coming up. Yeah. It's the most interesting 1:00 game by a long shot. It's not even close.
Oh, for sure.
Stephen A. Smith came out earlier and said that the 49ers could fall to the Jags here. I think they could. I don't know how likely that is. Is this a trap game, though? Like, are we getting fooled into thinking... For us, like, do we think the Jags are better than they actually are? We walk into this game, we pull a Dallas Cowboys and lose by 50.
Wow. I don't see it as necessary as a trap game now. They're both. I mean, we're both good teams going into this game. I don't see this being a trap game. I think it's like all in all a head to head. Let's get it on. I think.
Yeah. Hey, if you're a Cowboys fan and you wind up commenting on this, like, it wasn't 50 points, it was 32. Like, thanks. Very clearly, you're making a great statement by saying you lost to the Niners by 32. Thanks for owning that. But moving forward, like, I do think it could be a bit of a trap game, though.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of think that last year, definitely the Jags were hyperinflated. Like, we clearly thought they were better. We had no business being in that AFC game against the Chiefs. Like, I don't think we did. I don't know how much business we have thinking that they could beat a Chase Young debut off a bye week where CMC is fully healthy. Like, we're in for our money here. I hate it, but I think ultimately we do lose this game. And that's 2 weeks in a row now, 3 weeks in a row that I've said that while wearing a Jaguars hat. So you can call me out on that if you want, but how do you think this game winds up?
I want to say Jags dub, but I think that 49ers, with everybody being healthy and, like you were saying, Chase Young coming back, or not coming back, debuting for the 49ers. It's going to be a run for our money. So 49ers might take this one.
Now, this is a 49ers team that lost to Cleveland, Minnesota, and Cincinnati, all teams that I think we are capable of beating. San Fran currently favored by 3. ESPN bet puts this over under at 45.5. I take San Fran to cover, and I'm taking the over. I think, again, offensive explosion. I think CMC is going to score a touchdown because he has like the last 14, 15 consecutive games. So, we got Giants Cowboys though. I
didn't get a chance to say my thing.
Oh, my bad. I totally blew past that. All right, yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good. The Jags cover here. Just to opposite attract, and then Jags over.
Okay. We do get Giants, Cowboys. We'll see how that goes. We do have friends that are Giants fans and Cowboys fans, so
yes, we do.
We'll see if we have a guest on Monday, if any of them are willing to join us. But as it stands right now, I'm willing to say that the Cowboys win, but I'm also willing to say that slow your roll. We already saw what you did to the Pee Wee football Giants week 1. You're probably going to do it again. It's not like your defense is that much weaker with the absence of...
But boy, would it be something if the Giants somehow pull it with DeVito.
If the Giants win, golly, man, I'm going to be insufferable on Monday. We're going to lead with that. But slow your roll. So the Sunday night game, though, is the Jets versus the Raiders. It's another primetime slot for the Jets, and the coachless Raiders are in there again. Peyton, do the schedule makers hate us?
The reason why the Jets have this is because they thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be healthy the whole time.
Yeah. Not a great look for the schedule makers yet again.
Yeah. But then, go on.
The Thursday night game is Bears versus Panthers. So, guys, here it is. On our run sheet, I said Jets versus Raiders. The schedule makers hate us. Bears versus Panthers. Oh, wait, they really do hate us.
Yeah. No misconceptions here.
I feel like Amazon is getting ripped off for, they bought rights to NFL Thursday Night Football, and they have not had a good game in a while. Earlier we had Bears Commanders, and that was, for what it's worth, an interesting game, but still a cripple fight. Yeah. This game, Bears versus Panthers.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm taking the Bears to win. That's what I'm taking the Bears to win.
Me too, I guess. I don't even know. I don't even care.
I know.
Thursday night theme goes hard though. I will say that.
It does. It's a fun watch, and it's a little bit of football when you're in the middle of a week. But still, come on now, give us a better game. All right, time to wrap it up. Let's go ahead and wrap this up with best and worst of the week. My best of the previous week is... I didn't think about this, if I'm being totally honest. I wrote it in there, but I didn't think of what my best of the week actually was. I'll say this. This is actually best of the week. It's cold in Gainesville. A little cooler than it ordinarily would be. And it's nice. I'm getting to wear a jacket when I go to work now and not, only look the part, but feel the part as well. It is a little cooler, and it's nice. Worst of the week is that during the day when the sun is out, we're still in the 80s, and I hate it. So best of the week, it's starting to feel a little cooler in the mornings and in the evenings. Worst of the week, it's still hot during the middle of the day. And I'll go ahead and throw it to you. Best and worst of the week. Go ahead.
Best of the week for me. Let's throw it towards the Jags. The Jags won in the bye week. And no injuries whatsoever. We're looking good. We're 6-2. Regardless of how this goes, we're 6-3 or we're 7-2. I am not bad at any of those situations. So that's my best of the week. The Jags continue to prevail. My worst of the week, Bears Panthers. I think that's just what all it needs to be said.
That's totally fair. This is awful. Yeah, not looking forward necessarily to watching later tonight. I think I'm actually going to go out to dinner, and if I come back and the game's still on, then the game's still on,
Yeah, true. True.
So, hey, for the final time today on this DNH episode, your favorite set of brothers on your favorite sports talk show. I'm the host and producer, Alex Pichardo.
And I'm the co-host, Peyton Pichardo. You dig? We'll see you later.
We'll see you Monday. Solid episode, man.